This is Tech Talk with Denovo. Virtual events that unlock the potential of legal case management software to save you time, reduce costs, and enhance your practice's overall performance. Let's make your life easier.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome along to our latest webinar series. I'm Stephen Hill, Managing Director of Denovo, and today we are going to be talking about an exciting new feature called CaseLoad Notebooks. You'll probably be wondering what that is and what that does for you, so I'm going to take you through that today and discuss that in detail, show you how that can revolutionize your legal practice, how you take notes. The idea behind CaseLoad Notebooks, it was designed for legal professionals who need a bit of flexibility in how they can take notes, how they can basically work on matter-related content, but not necessarily have access to the practice management software at that moment in time. And I will run through some various concepts in the webinar today. I'll be sharing some footage that I've shot on an iPad device, which will hopefully show you a way of getting those notes into your notebook. And we'll run through what notebooks looks like from within the software as well. So just wait a few seconds for everyone to join. If you're watching this live with us this morning, then feel free to ask any questions you want at the end. We'll monitor the chat throughout to see if there's anything that comes in. If you're watching this on demand, so if you're watching this as a recording, then obviously you can get in touch with us at any time to ask any questions about the feature. If you're interested in the feature that you see today, then obviously let us know. If you just want some more information, then we can share that with you as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share our CaseLoad software first. So I'm going to share the screen in a wee second, show the CaseLoad software, and then I'm going to show how to get data notes into your CaseLoad notebook. So I've opened up CaseLoad, and Notebook is a brand new section of CaseLoad. So you can see that I've just highlighted it in the top left, just next to leads and accounts. So that's where notebooks will live. It's an area where data will be sent to. As you can see, I've got some notes in here, ones that I've already added through that are already in the software. And I'll run through this section here, and then we'll look at how to get these notes in to the software. So each individual user within the firm will have their own notebook. So you see in the top left, we've got notebooks, and I've got it's filtered to my notebook. So most of the time, I'm going to want to work on my own notebooks. There will be scenarios as we cover different bits of the webinar today and going through the feature. There will be scenarios where you want to access another user in the firm's notebook. That could be a secretary accessing a fee earner's notebook to deal with content that has to be sent to matters. So you'll be able to see that as we go through. So basically within here, I've got my notebooks, but I can change that filter to all notebooks. And you can see there's David's, there's Craig's notes in there. Craig does a lot of testing, as you can see. So you can see we can access obviously different person's notebooks from within the individual firm. And you can share those notes and see details from those notes as well. So if I go back to mine, so what I've been doing is I've been sharing some notes in here. Now that can be basically, there's various ways you can share notes. You can think of notes as an event. So we're used to our matter-related content and used to events. Notes can be exactly the same. It's got the same concept as an event in that there may be details in the note. There may be handwritten notes, there may be attachments and documents. All of that can be pulled into your notebook. You can also create a new notebook. So if you wanted individual notebooks from within your main notebook, you can have them. So a bit like in Outlook, where you've got your inbox, you maybe have some subfolders in there with different content. you can have different notebooks from within your main notebook as well. And if you just wanted to create a new note, for example, if you're in your notebook and you want to just add a note, you're already in CaseLoad software at this point, you're not on the go, is what we're going to look at next. Then you can obviously add a new note in my notebook, give that some detail, add some information, and save and close that. And you'll see that immediately goes to the top of your notebook. So there's a lot of flexibility around that. I did a little recording on an iPad device, which I'm going to share. I'm going to run through that and basically show you how I'm using notebooks on the go through using it as from the iPad. Now, that is obviously an iPad and an Apple. We'll look at me using Apple Notes for that. You can use any note-taking app to share the notes. You can use any device that has the ability to send an email, basically, with some notes and contents. It doesn't have to be an Apple device. It can be an Android device. It can be a Remarkable tablet, which is an e-ink device where its main primary focus is on note-taking and handwritten notes that are shared as PDFs and attachments and documents. So we'll run through those just now. As I said, this is a new concept for us, a new concept for most people watching the webinar today. So if you're unsure of anything, then give me a shout towards the end. So what I'll do is I'm just going to swipe right. So I recorded this, as I said, on an iPad for anyone interested. That is a route I ran in Portugal last week on some trails. So I'll just get that out the road first. And what we're basically going to run through on this screen share, which I did using Loom, is how I'm using this iPad device on the go. I've maybe not got great Wi-Fi. I want to take some notes. I want to maybe take some screenshots of documents, and I'll basically talk you through as this recording plays out. So I've opened up Apple Notes here. As you can see, I've got a basic note content there, which I've created. So I've taken one of my notes. I'm just going to click on the share button on here, and I'm going to send that to caseload@denovobi.com. So you can see you can edit the note. So if there's anything you need to edit in that content of note, and I've just sent that off. So as a very basic example, let me just pause that for a wee second. That one there was a note I had created. It had some content, just basic words, and I've then shared that document with CaseLoad. So that will create a note, which is this one here. New court meeting, 22nd of April, 9:07. You open up that, you can see the basic of what came in. So I had that note, and I've sent that in as an email, and it's been taken and put into the CaseLoad. Now we can discuss as we move forward what we then do with that note, now that it's inside CaseLoad. But as a very basic concept, if it's just written notes, you can see how easy it is to type up those notes or write up those notes, as you'll see, and share them with CaseLoad. So I'll let that run through. So now I'm going to do a new one. I'm calling this one New Scanned Document. So what I've decided now is I've got some content to share. So I'm just going to pause that again here. So what I've done is on the iPad device, I've typed up a summary, New Scanned Document, and then I've clicked on the little camera icon. So within the camera icon, again, I'm just going to speak on the Apple Notes side of things just now. You can scan text. So if you've got a page of a book or a page of a document and it's text, you can scan text of a document, and it'll take the scan of that text and put it into a note. So that's option one in this, using the camera device in here. You can take a photo or video, so that'd be a live photo or video. The format of that is probably going to be a JPEG or PNG. It's going to be a photo style video, but it may be useful because you might want to take a picture of something that you want to share and add to your notebook. So again, legitimate reasons for doing that. You can choose a photo or video, so you can actually choose a video or photo you've previously taken and add that as an attachment to this note. Or, and I'm going to show this one just out, you can scan a document. So you can basically, if you've got a handwritten notepad and you've scribbled some text down that you want to share as a note, you can scan that document in as well. So I'll let this play and you'll see how that essentially works. So bear in mind, again, I'm on my iPad device here. You can see I've rotated the screen accidentally there. So I'm on my iPad device. I'm going to click on that camera icon. I'm going to scan the document. So basically, you see that happening just now. So this is the camera of the iPad. I've got a document note in front of me, which I've scanned and saved in. So you can see that's now saved. That's in a PDF format. So what I want to do now is take that and again send it to CaseLoad. So I'm clicking on the share, the Outlook button, as you can see. You see that's attaching as a PDF document, and I'm going to send that off to CaseLoad as well. So again, you can edit as I'm doing just now. You can add other information around that, and then I've just basically clicked send to send that off. You can also do dictation. So I'm going to share a further way I've been able to share information. So what I've just done here is I've got a different keyboard on my iPad, one called Microsoft Swift Key. It's very good at dictation format. So you can see what I'm about to show you here. So this is if you see that this keyboard is slightly different to what it looks like on your own iPad device, then bear in mind this is a slightly different keyboard. Just next to the spacebar, you'll see the dictation button, which I'm about to click. And the words I'm going to use here are different. So I've voice recorded something which will dictate. So I'll let that run through and it'll show you this concept of being able to dictate into Apple Notes as well. So I'm going to click back into Notes and you can see I've got my dictation icon ready and I'll let that run through. Bear in mind, it's maybe not used to my accent yet, so you'll see what's basically happening here with the dictation feature. So I'm basically just speaking into the keyboard. It's reasonably good at being able to dictate the words. If you pause like that, then it will put full stops at the end of the pausing. But for lawyers that are used to dictating, this is not a new concept. The way we're dictating and then sharing with notebooks is slightly different to what you're used to. This way, for us, that if you're doing this dictation, as you can see, I'm doing on the screen, you're able to dictate out that note and share it with CaseLoad. So once we've completed that, I can make any changes that I want to change. You can see I'm doing a bit of editing to the text on the iPad device. But basically, once you're happy, that was very coincidental that it said that at that time. But once you have the information available, you would obviously then share the note as we've done with the previous ones. It's the same experience. You're clicking on creating the note, whether that's written content or whatever. You can see that's just what's been as a dictated style note. You share that with CaseLoad as well and send that over. So you'll see that play out. What I'll now do, as you can see, I'm about to, on the iPad device, I'm coming out of Notes and I'm accessing my remote desktop cloud. So what you're seeing there is me going into each of those notes that I've just created, but I'm doing it on the iPad device at the same time as well. So you can see there's the scanned note that I created as an event, as a notebook entry. You can see that on screen. You can see my court meeting details are in there as well. So the ones that we shared at the very start of that iPad recording, you can see that information as well. So all of that comes across. So every time you share anything, you can see that that's been pulled into your caseload notebook. I'll just let that play out. So what I've done there is I'm sending that document to a matter. So I've basically decided that I now want to convert that to an event, and we'll run through those live in a few minutes once we've looked at the iPad functionality of this new feature. You see, you can refresh your notes, and basically you can send them through as well. So I'm going to go back. I went back to notes again here, and I'm going to send that same dictation, but in the subject line, I'm going to change that to a matter code. So this is also a feature available for notebooks as well. You can share, and as you've seen previously, everything that's been sent across is being saved into notebooks. However, if you know the matter code that you want to save that to, then you can decide. In this instance, I've chosen Adam11. You can decide to send it to the specific matter if you know what the code is. So I'm going to open up Adam11 matter here, and we're going to look at the events of that. And you'll see in a wee second the note that we've just sent in. Has been saved in. You can see that scanned document at the top there is one that we've sent in from CaseLoad Notebooks Direct. And you can see it's an event. It's got that scanned document text that we shared earlier on, and the information is available. So I'll just pause that, and we'll just go back into CaseLoad Notebooks, and we'll run through the features within there, just to kind of clarify a recap. So basically what we've just done there with the iPad device is you can see you've got the ability, there's various ways, we've showcased a few of those ways, but there's various ways that you can get notes taken. So if you're in court, for example, and you've got meeting notes, or you're meeting with a client and you want to take those notes down, you can use the iPad device, which we've just done. You can type those notes out. If the iPad's got an external keyboard, then probably even better because it's easy to type out on those. But you can basically take those notes down and then immediately share them with CaseLoad effectively. So there's no reason not to share it straight away. As soon as you've got that note content completed, you can share that. You can see what you can do with multiple, single or multiple documents. So if you've got pages of a notebook, I just did one in that example, you can keep taking individual pages. So when you use that Apple Scan Documents feature, you can take photo of page 1, 2, 3, 4. You can basically work your way along, and that will create a single PDF with all of those documents attached and individually paged. Then you share that with CaseLoad. And then the last one that we looked at from that particular device was the dictation feature. A really good dictation feature that seems to be really good at understanding the words and language being used. So you would speak into that, dictate out your message, and then send that to your notebook as well. And as you can see, once you've got your notebooks entries, you're then wanting to action those notebook entries. You don't want them all to live in here. Now, there might be reasons why you have ones that just live in here because they're not pertinent to a particular client or matter. So that's maybe when you would use the folder feature for creating a new notebook where those can live. But basically, a little bit like we designed with leads, and for anyone that's not familiar with the leads functionality, leads was a way of getting prospects and clients into CaseLoad that might not necessarily become clients and matters. That was the idea behind leads. In notebooks, although it's a slightly different concept, it's you kind of think of it in the same way. It's a conduit, it's a way of getting data to caseload, especially when you're not in caseload at that time. It might not be convenient to access the cloud and log into caseload, which is the whole idea behind that. And it might be that you then just become used to, like when you're working on your iPad device or your phone, you become used to just taking those notes on the device and then just sending it to caseload because you know that it will be there. When you do that as well, you get an email notification, so you know that it's been saved in. So as you send that email off, you would get an email back in to say that's now been saved to caseload. Or in the instance that you send if you add the matter code to the subject line, it will tell you which matter it's saved to. So there's good technology behind how that works. And that's the kind of premise of that. So what you can see in here is as we look at the notes I've now got in here, most of these I'm going to want to be dealing with in terms of getting them to matters. So if I open up this one here, for example, I put in some information. It's got a title, it's got some details. I've basically got a few options in here. I can save and close, so I can edit that. So if I want to make any changes to that, just as a pure notebook item, I can add individual changes. I can save and close, and then you see that moves now to the top of the list. So they come in, you see we've got a created on and an updated on. So as you work with your notes and edit them, the ones that you update more frequently would appear at the top. And that's the same way that before it gets to notebooks, that's the same way it works with things like Apple Notes and any note-taking app. As you work on those notes and edit and save, they would then appear. They're normally always in the most recent order, which is what happens when you're editing these. I'll just open that one back up. If I decide that I know now that I'm comfortable with the details within that note, I now want to convert it to an event, I can click on Convert to Event. So I can search for the name of the person. So if I just search on name, and this window's a kind of familiar caseload style window where you're searching for a job. You can search by name as I've just done. You can search if you know the matter description, the client's address, postcode, telephone. So you can choose how to find the matter that you want to save that notebook entry to. So in this case, I've searched for one. So let's say it is this immigration case, Adam 3-1. I can OK that, and then that'll take that notebook entry and create this matter entry. So this is now a matter event as opposed to a notebook entry. So you can see it's tagged against the client. It knows which matter it's saving to. So all that information's on screen. If you want to add any attachments to that you maybe have from Outlook, your desktop files, or basically against this matter, you can do so. In most instances, you probably just save and exit, and you'll see that's now gone from my notebook. So the idea behind that is it only lives in the notebook for a short period of time. And the notebook entries, hopefully, shouldn't get too long, because the idea behind that is that you would send them into here, open up your notebooks, and then just send each of those individual notes over to an event. So if I just convert that one to another event, let's just choose one from my most recents. And then that will just send that off as well. So you'd want to kind of clear those out. You can see I don't have to scroll bar anymore. So these are the ones that I'm working with. And the idea behind that would be to do that. It may be a case as well that this top one here, maybe I've sent it and I now don't need it, so this one's got very limited information, you can delete those entries as well. So you can see when you delete entries from your notebook, they immediately refreshes and removes that entry from your notebooks. You can also, this one here has got some scribble notes and some information here. You can also make private notes as well. So if you were to tick the private option for that particular note and save and close, you can see that takes out of your global list, and then you would just access your private notes to find those individually. So particularly useful if, as the scenario we spoke about earlier on, if it is a case of the secretary working with the fee earner, but the fee earner doesn't want all of the notes available, they can make private notes as well from within this feature. So you can see there is a good reason to have the kind of private option as well from within there. This one here has an attachment, as you can see, and if there's ones with multiple attachments, you can see you can access and view those multiple attachments as well on the right hand preview panel. So as you're working with your notes, you kind of get the similar functionality as it would be if you were working with events. It's the same idea, only in notebook style format. So you're within the notebooks here, you can click and view each of those individual notes. You can click and see any attachments. So if there is a case that there is multiple attachments against that note, then you can obviously easily see those from within there. And if you're happy with the details and the content of that attachment, you can obviously convert that to an event as well. I'll just choose one to convert that to. You see when you convert one with multiple attachments, you get the 4 attachments coming through to the matter event as well. So it's only, as we've been saying, it's only temporary that it lives in the notebook section of the software. You save and exit on that, and that attachments one is now gone from the notebooks as well. So you can see how quickly you can clear up those notebook entries in terms of them coming in from the device over to then sharing them with the matter. I'll just show you just in the bottom left here, these 2 options. I'll just run through them again and again. I'll come back to this one in a wee second actually. So if you did have a new notebook and you wanted to create a private notebook, you can see it's basically blank. Now that could be any name for those individual notebooks, and you can see you can change between those. So each person in the organization has a notebooks entry. So you can see that my notebooks, plural. So each individual person would have their own notebooks style. And then within those notebooks, you can have individual notebooks. And you can have an individual notebook which has the content of each of those in there. Everything you send in to the caseload address would obviously come in to my notebook, but you can then share those with the other options as well. I should explain a little bit about the way that works. When I was sharing those notes, all of the emails, I was using Outlook as the way to share those emails. You don't necessarily need on your individual device to have access to your work email. The most important part of that is that the email you send it to is whatever the organization emails is set up. So in this instance, we've got caseload at novabi.com. That can be caseload at yourfirname.com.co.uk. There will be a designated email address, which is where all of the notes you create will be sent to, and that's what caseload will monitor and wait for those incoming emails to then save them into the individual notes. But even if on your device, if you're not set up, you don't access your work emails on your device, you can have a basically, the idea is you can have a personal email registered with your caseload notebook. So the idea being that even if it's a Gmail address as your personal email address, whatever you email address you would typically use, we register that email inside caseload and say for Joe, John, whoever, for that person, when they're sharing, when they're creating notebook entries, they're going to send them in from, and it'll be an address that they send it in from. That email, when it's sent, will be intercepted by the technology behind caseload to say, right, I know which user within this organization that Gmail or whatever email address is registered against. Therefore, I know which person within that organization I'm going to save this notebook entry against. So that's how that bit works. That's how the email, how the notebook entry gets to caseload. And you've seen what I've ran through today in terms of where the notebooks will live inside caseload. So it will be a brand new section of caseload, the notebook section, as you can see, and that's where everything will live from a notebook's point of view. So that's where it's going to live. That's how you get the emails into caseload, and you're able to see that from what we've just ran through. As I said, a lot of what I did was on an iPad device. Doesn't have to be an iPad or an iPhone. It can be any sort of tablet device, any note-taking app. There's lots of different versions of note-taking apps when it's easy to do handwritten notes. As I said, remarkable devices. For anyone that's not aware, it's a very slightly unique way of kind of doing e-ink style writing and note-taking style to get that information into caseload. But the whole what we're trying to do kind of today is showcase what we feel caseload notebooks are, how they can be utilized. We've looked at the features and capabilities, how we transfer them into caseload, and if there's anyone has any questions at this point, then they can give me a shout. But I'll let you just kind of have a couple of minutes if there's anything that you want to ask, whether it be notebook related or anything that we've covered today, then you can give me a shout. I think that's pretty much us for today's webinar. So thanks everyone for attending. I hope you learned a little bit about what CaseLoad notebooks are. If there is any questions that crop up, then you can get in touch with us. A recording of this will be sent to everyone that registered, and please keep an eye on your inbox for some future webinars, as we've got a few other exciting initiatives coming up, which you'll find out very soon what we're working on. So yeah, thanks very much for joining us. Hope everyone has a lovely day, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks very much.
Thank you.